I joined my father when there were 30 employees. Turnover was around 7 lakh rupees. And today, 25, we ended around 20,000 as a group level. 1992, we got this partner as a technical license partner. And that partnership, even 34 years, it is still continuing. Later on, it was converted in 1995 as a JV. Cultural integration is the most important. We can learn the technologies, we can learn the systems, processes, but the values and the culture of India is very, very important, and the DNA of your organization. If you go and stand at assembly line and you observe, then you can know the health of the company when Panasonic want to exit the lead acid battery. So normally people will ask fortune, So we said, no, we understand your compulsions. So easy, let it go. Happiness officer, I think my role now is to see, because if the happy people, motivated people can contribute to the company. On Uno Minda, we are almost 1,400 engineers. 700 are only on the innovation and R&D in Pune. We continue to depend upon the technologies from whether it is China, Japan and Germany. We will not be a self-reliance India. We will not be Atmanirbhar Bharat. I joined my father when there were 30 employees. Turnover was around 7 lakh rupees. And today, the 25, we ended around 20,000 as a group level. I studied from Hindi medium school, and my father was not well when I joined the business, so I was forced to join, in between, leaving my study in between. So I was required to go in Tamil Nadu, where nobody speaks Hindi. There was no other option. Either I learned English or I learned Tamil. So because there was an inferiority complex, so I better choose Tamil in those days to learn. So I learned Tamil. So he called me noon. He says, okay. Then he says, me come at 4 o'clock. Then he says, come at 8 o'clock. Then he says, come at midnight. And then every time I went 4, 8 and at midnight, and he said, oh, you are a very good boy. Please come down. Very good. I said, what is very good? He said, I call you 4 times and you came 4 times. My target was to collect a 50,000 order. He gave me 150,000 order. He says, I will give you that. So that taught me, I would say, patience, perseverance, and kind of never give up, learning.
How necessary is it to stitch technology partnerships, joint ventures, in specific with Taiwan, Japan, Korea, China, again, for these small and medium enterprises? And second is that how do you look at aggregating the demand in this whole process and build quality products which can be globally competitive?
We were chosen as a supplier to Maruti in 1984, but we were not able to, cope up with the requirement of the Maruti Suzuki in terms of quality. So therefore, and then we were looking for, and we were late, in fact, in selecting the partner. Maruti could not find a partners for us, and then we selected ourselves, and with a lot of, hard work. And 1992, we got this partner as a technical license partner, which is a Toyota group of company, Tokai Rika, and that partnership, even 34 years, it is still continuing. Later on, it was converted in 1995 as a JV. We asked the president also that it is better, the Indian entrepreneur, in fact, used to send their kind of a staff or employees for a learning or a training. He says, why don't, Mr. Minda, you make a, take a challenge to go there and learn. The president gave me a schedule of 4 or 5 days, 1 week. I says, no. And then because classroom training was not my kind of, I was very weak. And so he said, how long then? He says, I want to spend time on your shop floor. He says, how long you can spend? I said, 2 months, 3 months. So 3 months I stayed there. Again, they don't understand English. This time I was able to learn English, but this time they don't understand English. I learned Japanese and I learned a lot of good practices, like a single place flow, quality, they call it called Hoshin Kanri, you must be knowing, which is called a policy deployment, a kind of a mid-range planning. How do you, do your mid-range planning for the future, develop talent, what are the technologies coming. When Panasonic want to exit the lead-acid battery, so normally people will ask fortune. So we said, no, we understand your compulsions, so easy, let it go. All these joint venture, you asked this question. So we have today around 16, 15 joint ventures, our acquisitions and all those, but these are all trust. So it has to be a win-win situation. What do you bring on the table? Many joint ventures, many technology licenses have failed in India.
There are cultural sort of differences between companies which operate out of Japan, China, and you have stitched partnerships with, I think, European companies and, again, Southeast Asian countries. What are those significant differences in terms of the cultural aspects and the way you stitch those partnerships? Japan, we understand, it's a consensus-oriented culture which exists. How different is it to deal with the Chinese? And the follow-up question is that, while this transition towards electric mobility happens, and I think your venture with Innovance is in that direction. So how are you looking at this transition to happen in next few years in the auto component space?
Cultural integration is the most important. See, we can learn the technologies, we can learn the, systems, processes, but the values and the culture of India is very, very important, and the DNA of your organization. So you need to tell them, but at the same time, you need to learn, as you said, their way of working. I'm still trying to find out. That video was telling me the culture of Japan. And I saw that video maybe 8-10 times in those days. That videos tell me that, when the Japanese, when you are in a meeting, they will say like this. Yes, it does not mean that they agree. It means they understand. So that's a cultural understanding. And they will not decide anything normally in a meeting. They will go back, they will make one paper, then they will so-called ringgit system. That is the way of working. Engineering and technology is German, but sometimes they overdo. Overdo than the spec, so the cost increases. Japan, quality and continuous improvement is the key word. They never, continue to improve, reduce cost. China, speed and agility. I would put it this way, that if there is some quality issue in China, they will, diagnose, they will analyze, and then they take some countermeasure and then they start immediately. They will not wait for a long. But a Japanese company will, unless and until they will spend month, 2 weeks, something, and they will overdo.
So my question is that you have done the JV with Innovance, which is a Chinese company, and sector is witnessing a transition, a potential transformation. And I would like to believe that in the recent backdrop, acceleration of EV adoption will happen faster than what it has happened in the recent past. So how are you looking at utilizing this wave?
Innovance is the world's largest manufacturer of EV motors, powertrain, and drive mobility. So we are fortunate that to have a joint venture with them. China produces 32 million cars. We are 4.5 now. And out of 32, there are 15 millions are EV. They have taken an edge, and then this has happened because they have spent on the R&D. So same way we have to, spend on the R&D and be a self-reliance. And we are doing that. All Uno Minda products are, I would say, the ICE engine agnostic. So EV, it does not affect whether it is EV or non-EV. Our kit value per car or per two-wheeler is going to increase exponentially. EV, the pace will take little time, but India needs that. We have to, we are dependent upon this fossil fuel, so we have to find an alternate and this EV is the best solutions. We continue to depend upon the technologies from whether it is China, Japan and Germany. We will not be a self-reliance India, will not be Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we in Uno Minda, 1,400 engineers, 700 are only on the innovation and R&D in Pune, and we do our own patent, more than 1,000 design registration and patent. We do proof of concept with the OEMs so that, we can do it first time in India. We understand the use case of Indian. Sometimes like ADAS technologies in Europe or China cannot be replicated here because the use cases are different. So we study the use case, then go to the OEMs and do the POC and all that. There is one key word in our vision statement, and which is my dream, that to make the company sustainable. Sustainable means a long term, family driven, then now family assisted, owner driven, you may call it, owner assisted now, and then future professionally. So then it can be a long term. MD is Mr. Mehra, who is with us for the last 30 years. Happiness officer, I think my role now is to see, because if the happy people, motivated people can contribute to the company. My role now is to see, because I'm connected to a Gamba person. When I say Gamba means shop floor. I wanted to continue as long as I live and my body works for that, continue to spend maybe 4 or 5 days in the shop floor. You really know the face of the people. Are they happy? If you go and stand at the assembly line and you observe, then you can know the health of the company and whether the whole chain from the top to the supervisor level are understanding the problem of the voice of employee.